You want to talk a little football recruiting? I do have some bad news, kind of.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let the people cuss you out real quick for dropping bad news.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm not breaking any news by saying Brandon Brown is a soft commit. Obviously, we know the deal. He committed to Texas without ever visiting. Oh, sorry. I'll get to that in a second, Antoine. I'll get to that in a sec. But Brandon Brown committed to Bo Davis in Texas without ever visiting Texas before, prior to the commitment. Did it back in December. No one knew about it. I remember there wasn't a single outlet that had a story up for like 10 minutes because we were like, who the F is this kid? So that being said, Brandon Brown committed because of Bo Davis's relationship, his development, also Texas. I think it was just because they were kind of rolling, not only on the field, but in recruiting. I picked up, or we're picking up Xavier Philsmee around the same time. And he committed. And at the time, people were asking us, like, is this going to stick? And Hank and I were like, well, usually the kids who commit before ever visiting aren't, the most concrete thinkers, I guess, is a way to say it. And in the time since, he has made it to Texas, but he's also made it to Tennessee, LSU, USC, OU, Florida schools, et cetera, et cetera. At this point in time, I mean, I've kind of said this from the jump. I've never really felt great about him actually sticking in this class. But at this point in time, I'm really not expecting it. I just don't see it happening. And honestly, I think it could he could leave or depart from the class by the end of the summer. Obviously, Texas is going to do what they can to keep him, but I just think the relationship with Bo Davis was monumental. The fact that they've even kept him committed this long is kind of surprising to me, just because of all the factors at play. I think it's going to, like, if I had a gun in my head, I would pick LSU, but, like, I'm not confident in that. But I don't think it's going to be Texas come signing day, and I'll say that. On the other hand, they got to get DJ Sanders. If they don't get DJ Sanders, that meant they would have gone – if they don't get DJ Sanders and lose Brandon Brown, that meant they would have gone 0 of 5 on interior D-line prospects that visited this summer. That's not good, right?
No.
And a lot of people have been asking me, like, why do you think this is happening with the D-line, but also kind of linebackers now that Pettijohn is fading away? And Pettijohn, I was told yesterday, Pettijohn is most likely going to be – I was told Pettijohn is most likely going to be USC. So I haven't changed my crystal ball yet. Still waiting to, like, 1,000% confirm that one. But sooner or later, I should be changing that because at this point, Riley Pettijohn is not going to Texas. Yeah. At least it feels that way, and it's felt that way for about a week, 2 weeks now. But a lot of people ask, like, what's going on with the D-line and linebackers? I think a big reason is, like, the personnel. Having potentially more options and being more aware of other schools and what they're going to do to get these kids at the last minute, you know what I mean, or different things like that. So I think maybe the personnel department could have been better. It's obviously hard, and obviously I don't want to overreact. Like, it's July 2nd, signing day is 5 more months from now. So I do think Texas is going to get it figured out. It is interesting, though, because you go and look at each class, right? 2022, what was the big thing they needed to fix? The offensive line. What did they do? They signed 6 or 7 offensive linemen. And not only was it 6 or 7 O-linemen, it was a bunch of really damn good ones that have contributed at some point or another. And at this point in time, the O-line group is the only position group from the 2022 recruiting class that is not experienced to transfer. Every single one of them is still at Texas.
Yeah.
Every other position group from the 2022 high school signing class has had a transfer, which is, I find that kind of nuts.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Yeah. And I figured that out when I was writing the O-line preview thing with Eric last week. But with 2023, what was that position that it was like, okay, we're going to take this personal and go fix this? It was linebacker. They got Anthony Hill, Darian Gillette, Leon Galafau, Samaje Burrell, right? And then in 24, what was it then? The secondary. You got Kobe Black, Filsamy, 2 5-stars. You got JJR, Jordan Johnson Ubell, who's been playing in a college program effectively for 2 seasons already. You got Wardell Mack, who played high school quarterback majority of the time, but has almost like a 6'10" wingspan or something ridiculous like that. And he's going to need time. He's going to need development. But with the other takes you have, like, that's a great guy to take. And then the last one, Santana Wilson, NFL bloodlines. Everything Texas looks for in a corner, over 6 foot, athletic, long arms, whoop-de-whoop. So they've hit each position that they really needed, and they've almost taken it personal. Like, okay, we're going to go out and sign the best position haul at this position. This year, that position has to be D-line. It's got to be, and I think everyone knows that. But does not feel like it has had the same success, at least at this point in the cycle, or July, 5 months ahead of early signing day, that the 22 class was having with O-line, that the 23 class was having a linebacker, that the 24 class was having in the secondary. Yes, Wardell, or yes, Bill Smith, Kobe Black, those are both December guys. Like, everyone knew Kobe Black was going to Texas by like June, but he waited that long. The Phil Smith thing was kind of a slow process. And then they obviously had to flip Wardell Mack from Florida. People forget that too. But like, again, not trying to overreact, but like, it does seem like the ball is rolling slower than it did the last 3 cycles at the main position of need.
True. I'll give you this though. Granted, this is not me predicting that things will change, but it just shows you how even far down the road things can change. On July 4th, 2021, so basically at this time in the 2021 cycle, Kelvin Banks was committed to Oregon.
Yeah.
So, and we've talked about it, whether it's Zion Williams or whoever, there's some guys that are going to commit elsewhere this summer that Texas is going to stay on just because you have to. It's through the whistle recruitments. We talked about that mentality the other day. Now, does Texas win every one of those? No, they don't. But have they won their fair share in the last few cycles enough to where you're like, okay, maybe if you got 3 defensive tackles that you really like that are committed elsewhere, man, if you get one of them, then you're feeling much better about your class. So there's going to be a couple of these guys that Texas stays on that hopefully they'll get to the campus for visits this fall or whatever. But yeah, by no means is it just over. And look, I don't know, Jordan, why it has to be an all or nothing deal. You can acknowledge things are bad right now and the optics aren't good and you're not very overly optimistic while still thinking, okay, I trust these guys. Let's see what the plan is. Like, yeah, doesn't mean that like Kenny Baker needs to get fired or Sark suddenly woke up one morning and forgot how to recruit. Like, just you got to ride the ebbs and flows of a recruiting cycle, man. And this is a downtime. This is a downtime for Texas, and we'll see if they get it figured out.
Yeah, I'm gonna run through some of these real quick. So Xavier Barnett, he's an athlete in the 26 class out of Yoakum. I'm gonna take a lot of credit here for this. Was surfing through track times on mile split for the 26 class like 1 or 2 years ago, or whatever it was. No, it would have been last year because it was freshman track times he had. And he triple jumped like 47 feet or some shit as a freshman, or like 45. He had some ridiculous triple jump. And he also had other track times and stuff like that. And he was 6'3", I think listed himself at 180. And then I went and looked at his film, and he played all the games as a varsity starter as a freshman. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, I sent him to pretty much every school in the country I had to connect at. So he's on, like, everyone's radar. And then I sent him to our scouting team. And he debuted as, like, the number 57 or number 60. He debuted in our top 100, in the 2026 top 100. He debuted in it. As far as the football player goes, he needs a lot of work. I'll say that. He needs a lot of work. But like, if this kid stopped getting better for the next 2 years, a Power 5 school would still take him because he's that, like, jumbo athletes that can move like that don't come around often, right? And yes, not all of them are going to be like Michael Terry, where they're like fluid as hell, can play all these different positions at such a high level. But still, like it's not, they don't grow on trees. It's a rare thing. So some school is going to take him. At State 7 on, I didn't get to see a ton of him. He mostly played offense, which I was kind of like, you're going to yoke him and aren't going both ways. Like Michael Terry goes both ways at least.
Yeah.
He does go both ways in pads, so I will give him that. But just at State 7 on, I was like, come on, man. So yeah, I like Barnett a lot, but he's going to need to turn the corner sooner or later if he really wants those, big time Power 5 offers. Turn the developmental corner. Also, long term, I have no idea what he is as a prospect because I don't feel great about it being a receiver right now. So kind of a little Michael Terry situation there too. JJ Mays,
real quick, Jordan. Can I just throw this in one more time about the 2022 O-line class, because
go ahead.
The staff didn't have the track record that they have now, obviously, and there were a lot of questions on, hey, you need offensive linemen. Are you gonna get it done? You're gonna be able to get it done. And just for the record, Cam Williams, Kelvin Banks, and Nato, all three of those guys committed to Texas in December, and you had to go to February, to the very end, to wrap up DJ Campbell. So
yeah.
Again, well, not every cycle is going to be like that, but that's just some stuff to keep in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say, like, yes, O-line, I guess, in 2022 is in a similar spot with the D-line. But by this point in 22, didn't they already have Cole Hudson and Connor Robertson committed?
Cole Hudson and Connor Robertson, yep.
And then I know they got Malik Agbo towards the end too, but like,
yeah,
at least the way I would read reports and the way I would hear things when talking to people, DJ Campbell was always going to Texas. Like people knew that in the summer. So at least they had that, where it's like outside of DJ Sanders, who we do think Texas is a leader for, like a big part of Hank and I thinking like he's going to Texas is because like Texas can't miss on that kid. Like they can't. Obviously you have the portal, so I guess there isn't really a can't miss guy anymore. But if you like what DJ Sanders is going to be in 2 to 3 years, if you wanted to pay for that through the portal, it would cost significantly more than it would, to develop him.
You don't find guys like that. You don't find impact defensive tackles in the portal.
No, you don't.
If you find Trill Carter in the portal, you did good.
Yeah.